Good morning, sunshines. Yeah, wow. I am slow moving this morning because teaching preschoolers crafts, Vacation Bible School, it does you in. All right, so we are going to jump right in today, continuing lace, because I am too tired to think of a different craft to do. And all my stuff was still sitting on my desk from yesterday's stream. So we're just going to continue on because there are some pretty exciting lace swatches. I'm not fully awake, but we're diving in anyway. So, hello, human being, my little sunshine. All right. Yeah. I was like so exhausted after doing crafts with preschoolers yesterday that, plus the heat. Oh my gosh, it was so hot. Even in the late afternoon, we were outside and we made butterflies from coffee filters and they were adorable. But good gosh, it was a lot of work. So today's craft is a little easier and won't involve so much work on my part, I don't think. So, all right, we are going to start with the pearl barred scallop pattern. It's a mouthful. It's an old pattern, Victorian. Well, it was definitely used in Victorian times. It may have been around a little bit before that. They often used it for dresser scarves or bureau scarves, tray cloths, and something called an antimacassar. Let's look that up. What the heck's an antimacassar? I'm guessing it's some sort of thing that... antimacassar. It is, it's the piece, that piece of cloth that's put over the back of a chair to protect it from grease and dirt, or as an ornament. So, if you've ever been to your grandmother's house and she has like a fancy chair and there's often a little piece of cloth, sometimes lacy cloth, on like the back where the head would rest, it has a name, and that name is antimacassar. So there you go. We're just making a swatch though. This is pretty, I have cast on 29 stitches and I've already purled the first row because, that's kind of boring. So let's get right into the more exciting row. This is a 12 row repeat. And as it is, most of those rows, well, no. Almost all the wrong side rows are purl. There's one wrong side row that's knit. And then all the right side rows, except for one, are going to do the following sequence. So I am going to have to probably keep a little bit of track here on which row I'm on, since at some point it switches up. All right, so we're going to knit one, and then we're going to do yarn over, knit 3. So we are deviating from our basic lace of yarn over decrease that are done immediately before or after each other. Now we have our decrease. It's a slip slip knit, yarn over. Oh, well, there we have that one. Okay, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over. Slip 1, knit 2 together, pass our slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, slip slip knit, yarn over, slip one. I do not have enough stitches. Did I miscount? I think I miscounted. Did I mention that I'm not fully awake? All right, we're just going to start over. I can already tell. I think I had 25 stitches. All right, let's start again. Oy vey. All right. Well, at least so far you have learned of a Victorian era word. So let's try this again. Yeah, I'm now thinking that I counted 20 and I was like, oh, but maybe, I don't know. All right, 14. 14 is 28 plus 1 is 29. So I might have just had 20. I don't know. But it will not take me very long to cast back on. So I'm doing my knitted cast on. So it's just a knit stitch, but instead of sliding the stitch off, you just bring your left needle back behind. Just make sure that I'm sizing them on the main part of the shaft of the needle and not on the point, or the tip of the needle. All right, let's try. See how many we have here. Let's see if we can count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Let's double check here. 15, 20, 25, 29. Okay. Start again. We're going to purl. I am doing my fancy edge where I knit the first stitch and I slip the last stitch. So even on this row where it's to purl across, I'm still knitting the first one and I will slip the last one. Okay, now we are ready to start the pattern here. Okay. So we're going to start with knit 1, and then we start with the repeat. Yarn over, knit 3. Then we have a slip, slip, knit. Yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, slip, slip, knit, yarn over, those go together as the lace. Then we have our slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 2 together. You will also hopefully recognize that as basic lace. Knit 3, yarn over, and then I'm slipping the last one, but the directions are to knit 1. Okay, we're going to purl back. Again, almost all of the wrong side rows are purl. This pattern is called the purl spelled P-E-A-R-L, so like, you know, little pearl necklace pearls. Pearl barred scallop pattern. So the edge is going to automatically create a chevron scallop, in part because of that double decrease will help to facilitate that. And you can think of that double decrease, we have to counter it with 2 increases. And those yarn overs that seem to be away from the other decreases are count as those 2 increases. So I'll point out what I mean as we come back around. So whenever I do a pattern, you know, I follow the instructions, or I try to. And I don't, that first pass with the actual, you know, the stuff we did on the last right side row, which we're about to do again, I just kind of follow through, and I'm not necessarily thinking about how it's being set up and what's going to happen with those stitches. But now as I continue with that, I'm paying more attention to how things are grouping together to create the effect that is on the fabric. All right, so we are on row 4. I better make some notes here. We'll scrap of paper. Okay, so easiest if this has 12 rows. 1, 2, 3. So if I number 1 through 12, so I've done row 1 and row 2 and row 3. So I'm now on row 4. This is a good method to, if you're kind of keeping track of things. I am going to make a little kind of circle around 11 and 12 because that's where things go differently. So rows 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, these little groupings are all exactly the same. All the odd rows are on 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are all the pearl, and all the even rows 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 are going to be exactly what I'm about to do right now, which is why I have to keep track, because it'll be easy to lose count of how many times I've done this row. All right, so knit 1, yarn over, knit 3. All right, and now we have our decrease, and here in the here's where a double decrease is, and it has a yarn over on each side. So when I go to do that next double decrease, it's going to be here. So it's really going to make some pretty significant clumping, I guess you could say, of stitches here. And then we're going to have these sections of stockinette stitch that are kind of columns up. You'll see as we go along. All right, so we knit 3. Now we're going to slip, slip, knit, yarn over, and that's good because that's putting me right now into the grouping of 3, which I have to do the slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, and yarn over. All right, so now I'm back to having 3 stitches where I had 3 stitches. But this yarn over really gets paired with this knit 2 together. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it's knit 3, 1, 2, 3. And then here we have a little section where there's a yarn over on each side of a single knit stitch. And this is going to be sort of a more delicate section. 2, 3, and we're coming up to our slip, slip, knit, yarn over, double decrease, slip 1, two together, pass that slip stitch over, don't want to forget that part. Then it's yarn over, knit two together. Try not to split the yarn and to also stay on screen, sorry about that. Knit three, yarn over, and then I'm slipping the last one. Okay, let's purl back, and then we can take a look, because now things are going to be starting to develop. Now, even though there is a yarn over on each side of that double decrease, those yarn overs, in my mind at least, are pairing up with the slip slip knit and the knit two together that are forming the lace. That's the type of lace that we've been doing. So then these yarn overs that are on each side of that single knit stitch, those are really the yarn overs that are countering the double decrease. And when you have yarn overs that are not right next to a double decrease, or not next to any decrease, as these are not, then that's what's going to make this scalloping happen. So here, we kind of keep feeding in. This is where the double decrease is going. And then this is essentially, and it looks like I forgot a yarn over here. We can fix that on the next round. This is kind of pushing outward a little bit, because we're having one stitch, but we're adding a stitch on each side, and that is making these things go outward, and our double decrease is pulling things inward, and the inward things tend to venture downward, and the expanding things tend to move upward. I hope that makes sense. All right, let me mark off that I just did those two rows. All right, we're on row 6 already, which is great. We'll be halfway through after this row. And I need to remember to fix that yarn over in this. So, paying attention. Yarn over, knit 3. And then we have our decrease, slip, slip, knit, yarn over. And we have our double decrease, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3, and oops, which means I can't knit 3. I need to knit 2, fix the fact that I forgot this yarn over. There we go. There we go. That's the 3. Now yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, slip, slip, knit, yarn over, double decrease, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3, yarn over. So we do have these little edge bits that have the yarn over, and in this particular case here, they're really just helping our stitch count remain steady. They're not going to be highly visible in there, but our other parts are. So here is our increasing. This is you can see the yarn overs on each side with the lace ladders, and we have this kind of chunky bit in the middle, as opposed to these are just yarn overs. That one's a little sad there, with just a single column of stockinette there. All right, let's purl back. And we'll do this 2 more times before we'll have a reverse stockinette stitch, which is going to make a nice little bar going across. It will kind of break up this column. So I would say, indeed, this is a pretty easy stitch pattern. There's really only one line of code that you have to memorize or figure out, and otherwise you're purling, and then you'll have a row of knitting thrown in there as well. So, all right, let me mark off that I just completed those 2 rows. All right, we're on row 8. So again, it starts off the same. We're going to knit 1, yarn over, knit 3. So then we have our slip, slip, knit, yarn over. So that is causing the stitches here to look like they're on a diagonal and disappearing into the diagonal, because we are taking the two end stitches on the left end, and because we do the slip, slip, knit, they tend to lean this way. So it will continue, and then we have that yarn over, which kind of starts a new stitch, which later just works into that 3, and that's why it looks like those stitches are kind of just on a diagonal, disappearing off the edge. So now we have our, here's my yarn over. Now we have our double decrease, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass a slip stitch over, and then yarn over, knit 2 together. And so this grouping is looking the opposite. The stitches are on the diagonal going to the right. Knit 3. That third stitch was the stitch that was a yarn over 2 rows ago. Now we need a new yarn over to create a new stitch. Slip, slip, knit, yarn over, double decrease, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3, yarn over, and I'm slipping the last one, so I somewhat of an edge, although it's a little wonky. All right, let's purl back. It's nice having these rows where you don't really have to think. Just kind of work the row across. At the same time, it's a little boring. All right, let me mark off that I've done those 2 rows. All right, so this is the last time for the 12-row repeat that I have to do the sequence that I've been doing on the right side row. And you can see it's really starting to stand out. It has a definite scallop edge. That could be worked into a nice point when blocked, by the way. So all of our double decreases, as I said before, help to kind of push down the fabric, and the increases, which is that yarn over on each side of a single knit stitch, help to push the fabric upward and spread it outward that way. So, and then you can also see in these little blocks of stockinette next to the pieces, so around the little single stockinette stitch there, we have these panels that those stitches look like they're going to the right, these stitches look like they're going to the left. And then likewise, these are going inward towards the double decrease area. All right, so let's do this row once more. Knit 1 for the edge, yarn over, knit 3. We have our slip, slip, knit, yarn over, double decrease, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, slip, slip, knit, yarn over, double decrease, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3, yarn over, and I'm slipping the last one in the instructions. Oh, there goes my phone. All right, hold on for 1 second. Let me fix that. Okay, sorry about that. Also, I still never know what's going on at the bottom of the thing there, but all right. My poor little camera. My poor little old iPhone. It's really not that old, but now I've got the newer iPhone, so it's not the newest, but it is newer than the other one. But man, every once in a while it like overheats, and I've gotta, it needs to calm down. So. All right, so I just finished that row. We are on row 11 on the wrong side row, and this time instead of purling, because we are on the wrong side row, we're going to knit, which of course is going to create purl bumps on the right side. Hence the name of this pattern, the Purl Barred Scallop pattern. So, how fun to do a row of knitting. And if you're thinking, yay, that's one less row of purling, no. Because on the right side row, when we turn this around, we'll be purling. But it's all good. Okay. So there we go. We have a row of little purls, and to further enhance them, we are now going to purl on this right side row, which is going to just have another whole little row of purl bumps. So we have this really nice little I've said little quite a lot. But there'll be this bar or a little band, little again, this petite band of pearl bumps going across the front of the scallop. Now, of course, if you're normally just doing reverse stockinette stitch, which is simply knit on the wrong side and purl on the right side, it would be straight across. But this bar will conform to the scalloping of the piece. It will, because it's only 2 rows of that. All right, we're back on the wrong side row, and we're now starting our 12-row repeat again. So I'm going to go ahead and purl this row. And then we'll do a few more rows of the lace stitches. And then we'll just end the swatch, because we'll be able to see really what's going on. What is this swatch about? If you are new to my channel, my name is Stacy, and I am a multi-crafter. I stream a lot of knitting, though, here on Twitch. I had been doing some cross stitch, but most of my streams for the last few weeks have been all knitting. And I am swatching my way through A Treasury of Knitting Patterns by Barbara Walker. That's the book that you see a little picture of right there. It is the first in a series of 4 books. And it is it's like the reference Bible of knit stitches or pattern stitches for designers and knitters to, if they're designing a garment or a shawl or a hat or whatever, a lot of times they will look through here to get some ideas or to combine different stitch patterns and whatnot. So the book doesn't give any directions for an article, a finished project. It's all stitch patterns. And I am in the lace chapter, if you couldn't tell, and which is a little more than halfway through. It's probably 3/5 of the way through the book. It is a long chapter, though. This is the 25th swatch in the chapter, and there are over 100. All told, in this book, there are over 500 swatches. So, and I have done them all up to this point except one. There was just one that I just couldn't, I don't know. It and I were not meshing at all. So I was like, you know what, life's too short, move on. So, but other than that, I have done them all. And they're all cataloged, and they have little cards to tuck in with them, and I have them all in boxes. So I can reference, actual 3D swatches when I'm trying to figure out if a stitch will work for a project. All right, so we're back, back around here again, and knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, slip, slip, knit, yarn over. Then we do our double decrease. We don't have the sort of the same markers that we did when we were doing this row other times, other than to look down a little further and see that we're in the same, lined up with the previous stitches. Yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 3. And then you can see here this stitch is above our column, our little stockinette column here, so it's yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, then we have our knit 3, and now we're doing our double decreasing and our lace, which is this part right here. So this is a slip, slip, knit, yarn over, double decrease, over, knit 2 together, knit 3, yarn over, and I slipped the last one because I want a certain edge, but you could just knit the last one also. It would be fine. And then we're going to purl our way back. I'm knitting the first one because it's the edge. And we'll start to see that purl bar conform to the scalloping of the piece. It might take a couple more rows. So again, this pattern is from the Victorian era, and it was often used for bureau scarves. If you've ever seen a period piece or been in a Victorian home, they often had either knitted lace or crocheted lace or other types of lace. Scarves, well, they had them on everything. You know, they were on the tops of tables and bureaus and the backs of chairs, which apparently is called an antimacassar. So, I've learned something exciting here. So you can already see that our little string of pearls here is beginning to conform to the lace. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more right side row in the lace pattern, purl my way back, and then bind off. And because now I've gotten a very good sense of what this pattern is about, and it's quite lovely. It would make a pretty scarf. I could see where they used it for dresser scarves, a little wider than this, of course. I don't think anybody uses dresser scarves anymore. So there's that. But if you decided that you wanted to, you could knit one. So this pattern is really quite lovely in that it's rows of knit and purl, purling on the wrong side except for when we have to do the little string of pearls. And otherwise, there's just one line of instruction. It gets repeated several times on this right side row, which is what I am doing right now. So it's pretty reasonable. Not a whole lot of constantly referencing the directions. So I love that in a pattern. It's something I tend to look for. The biggest part of this one is keeping track of how many times you've done that. And truthfully, you could do it by counting the holes. So this is worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So when you have 5 holes, you know it's time to do that. And here we have 1, 2. So that does make it pretty easy. I would never have to look at the instructions again, in theory. Probably not in truth, but in theory. All right, let's purl this back, and then I'm going to go ahead and bind off. And then coming up, we have arrowhead lace, and then a variation of that, which is called little arrowhead lace. And I think this one will look pretty familiar. This one I'm doing right now, the pearl barred scallop pattern, I feel I've seen used before in places, or at least something quite similar. see where we are here. Yeah, that's a decent sized swatch. It's one of the larger ones so far in this chapter. We've had a lot of tiny swatches. And again, I am not doing this for gauge. This is strictly for learning the stitch pattern. All right, let's bind this off. I'm going to keep the bind off, hopefully, fairly loose. And it too should conform to the scallop. I'm just doing a standard basic bind off, but trying to keep it nice and loose. When I do swatch for a project, I swatch not only for gauge, but also to make sure that I understand the stitch pattern, to test the transitions often for like going in from ribbing into the pattern, the stitch pattern. I want to make sure, especially when I'm designing a piece. It's one thing if I'm doing something from a written pattern, but if I'm designing a piece, I will often swatch not only for gauge, but for any of those transitions, for the best way to cast on if there isn't like a ribbing or some sort of border, and also the best way to bind off, because sometimes you need a much more stretchy bind off or whatnot, and also to know where exactly in the pattern is the best place to bind off. It's not always convenient to just do it when you reach 10 inches or whatever it might be. So sometimes you really have to take into consideration where in the row repeat is best served as a bind off row. Sometimes it's on the right side, sometimes it's on the wrong side. All right, and I keep my tails really short on these because they're just swatches. I'm not weaving in any tails, but certainly on an actual project, I keep the tail nice and long so I can use it to, I have enough, it's like, why is this tail in the middle? Well, it's because, it's not, it's really on the end, because if I were to block this out, I don't really have enough fingers here. Let's see if I can. It looks more like that. So there are peaks here at the, it goes this way. No. This is the correct way. This is my cast on. This is my bind off. So yes, so it looks like kind of a wonky W. So it's really quite lovely. Let's see if we can kind of spread this out a little bit. So you see how these panels here, the stitches look like they're moving inwards towards this double decrease area. And then we have this more delicate fanning out area, and the stitches are moving away from that. So you can see how this is a predecessor, perhaps, or maybe a contemporary, to like a feather and fan type of thing. And again, it works because here we have, in this section, we had not only the double decrease, but we had decreases here. So we had a total of 4 decreases, but only 2 increases. So overall, a net 2 decrease, which pushes the fabric downward. And here, we just had 2 increases, and that pushes the fabric upward and also outward. So downward because it's moving inward, upward because it's moving outward. Hope that makes sense. And now maybe, you know, gives you a little bit more insight into some of the other chevron, feather and fan type patterns. All right, moving on to arrowhead lace. Let's see what we've got going on here. Ooh, multiple of 10 plus 1. So let's see if I have to do anything funky. I think I'm going to go ahead and do an extra edge stitch though, because our little yarn overs here just kind of got eaten away I mean, it was fine. They kept our stitch count correct, but they kind of lost their visibility. So I'm going to go ahead and add an extra 2 stitches for the end, and then I will have to remember that they're not counted in the sequence of stitches on each row. This is a 4-row repeat, and done, as I said, over a multiple of 10. So, but I have to cast on 10 plus 1 and then plus 2. So I'm going to do 23 stitches. And we're going to start off with our basic arrowhead lace before we do the variation. There'll be 2 separate swatches. I like to keep everything separate unless this pattern really warrants putting the 2 together. Let's see. This is going to be panels of lace trellis, which we did last week, I believe, or maybe yesterday. Hard to remember. Which biases. So we're going to counter that bias. How is we're going to do that? The panels can be made wider simply by adding 4 more stitches to each repeat for each extra diagonal rib. Makes a beautiful, crisp-looking insertion in stockinette fabric or a mesh-like all-over pattern. So, a lot of these lace patterns that we've done so far are just that. They're really great for if you have a stockinette, like say you have a sweater, and you just want to kind of fancy it up a little bit, but you don't want to have to do like something really super complicated. Then you can insert a panel by just taking out X number of stockinette stitches and inserting in, like, you know, the 10 plus 1 or whatnot. So just have to kind of center them up from where you want to take it out. So, I mean, it could be down the center of a garment. It could be down one side. Lots of different ways to do that. So I said I'm going to do 23 stitches. Let's see, 5, 10, 15, 23. All right, we're starting with wrong side with purl. This is a 4-row repeat. I think I mentioned that already. The odd rows are purl. So we're down to just 2 rows of actual things we have to pay attention to. First, let's get this row down. Knit my edge stitch. That's separate from the rest. And then the pattern itself starts off with knit 1, and then we have yarn over, slip, slip, knit, and we have that twice, the yarn over, slip, slip, knit part. Yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Knit 1, and then we have knit 2 together. Yarn over, 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, together, yarn over, knit 1, and then I'm slipping my last one. That's the edge stitch. All right, and then purl our way back. So anytime I encounter a new stitch pattern. I read it through. Now these, as I'm, swatching live here, I glance over, but I don't like really read through all the stitches. And if it's a long like if it's a lace shawl, I don't necessarily read through all of the rows, but I kind of will glance over, or I'll look to see what stitches are used to make sure I feel comfortable and confident about using any of them. At this point in my life, though, I'm pretty confident. I have been knitting for over 40 years, so not too many things that I haven't encountered. Having said that, there were a few things so far swatching in this book that I was like, oh, never did that before. So, all right, now we're on row 4, and this lace row is just a little bit different. There's my edge stitch. Now we're going to have knit 2, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, nope, yarn over, yes. Now it's slip 2 knitwise, knit 1, pass the 2 stitches over. Okay. Now I have encountered this before in this book, and I am going to go ahead and slip these 2 together, even though it doesn't say together. We'll see how this works out. Slip 2 together, then knit 1, and then pass these 2 over, because that should, yes. You see how of the 3 stitches, the center stitch is the one that's dominant. So there were 3 stitches, and it did this. I mean, it might have done that. But anyway, the point of the matter is that the middle stitch is the one that stays dominant, as opposed to in our previous swatch, that was not the case. This was also a double decrease, but in this case we slipped 1, knit the 2 together, and passed the slip stitch over. So it kind of makes this little like rope-like structure. This is going to be quite different. This is like coming to the top of a little mountain. Okay, yarn over. After that, knit 2 together. Yarn over, knit 3. Yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Yarn over, slip 2 together, knitwise, knit 1. Pass the 2 stitches over. So again, we have that nice little kind of top of the mountain thing. Yarn over, knit 2 together. Yarn over. I don't have enough stitches. What has happened? I feel confident. I'm betting that there's a yarn over that got missed maybe before. All right, let's see. Yarn over. Oh, no. Nope. All right. We're all good. Yarn over. I see knit 3, but it's really, and you're like, well, there are 3. Remember, this one's my edge stitch, and it doesn't really count, but it is to end with knit 2. So, I thought things were aligning correctly, and I say that because my little mountain made a little mountain, and if it had been off by 1, then it would look totally different. So it's all good there. All right, that is 1 full set of repeats, of row repeats. So we're going to do that again, and this time as we do it, we're going to pay attention to what is really happening with the fabric, so that as we go through, we get a better understanding, so that it's much easier to look at the knitting and know what's going on versus trying to follow the pattern, which, as you might have noticed, my book is way over there. Okay, so we're back to row 2. So let's take a look at kind of what's going on. We have, it's starting to scallop a little bit because we have a lot of decreases going on here. And even though we have a lot of increases going on in this section. So let's go ahead and do this row, and then we'll pay attention to what's right below it to give us clues, so that we're sure that we're aligned all the way across. Because you can imagine that this was a much wider piece. I wouldn't want to get off track, and I would like to look for clues to know I'm in the right place. So I've done my edge stitch, that's separate, and then this is knit 1, and then we have 2 yarn over slip knits. So we're in this section here where we have this leaning of pieces here, and we have this we're doing these 2 groups. So the second part of that group is the previous yarn over, but we're going to start with the yarn over, so we're creating a stitch, and then we are decreasing, increasing a stitch and decreasing with a slip knit. Okay, and that is continuing the lean in this direction, and you can see that it's nicely continuing this same line here. So our pieces are our lace holes are on either side of that, and we are creating a new lace hole. So this is going to continue to kind of blend over and then decrease in. So we're not doing a double decrease yet, not on this row. Then we're going to knit 1, which is that center part of where we had that double decrease before. Then we start with knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, and this is creating these diagonals that are leaning towards the right. Then we have, let me see where I am here, a knit 1, and that should indeed align kind of in this section that's growing outward. And then we start again with yarn over, slip knit, yarn over, slip knit, knit 1, and lovely, it's aligned correctly. Knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together. I can not split the yarn, there we go. 2 together, yarn over, there we go, and end with a knit 1, and then I have my edge. All right, purl back, gives you a chance to breathe. That's what I love about patterns that have an easy wrong side row. You just kind of go, whew. All right, so now we have a little bit more understanding of what's going on. We're getting ready to do the row that has the double decrease. You can start seeing that there's a triangular piece moving in. So if we kind of dissect, these 3 stitches here are going to be the double decrease, and then we're going to have increases on, well, we're going to have lace and continue with the increases there. So if I set this piece down and I come back, well, perhaps hours or days later, months, years, then I would like to know where I am in the piece. And looking at this, I can tell I'm on the right side row, so I know it's not a purl row, that's easy. But, you know, am I on row 1 or row 2 or row 4? And I can look here to see that I have these little groupings of 3 stitches that are part of where it's going to be decreasing. So I would know that I need to make those 3 become 1. That would clue me in, because there's only one right side row where there is a double decrease. That's the row we're going to do right now. So edge stitch, and then we have knit 2, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, because we want to continue having things lean to the left. Yarn over, and now we're ready for our double decrease. And again, this one is to slip 2 together, knit 1, pass the 2 slip stitches. There we go. Oh, I dropped that one. Hold on. Yarn is getting a little finicky this morning. Okay, let's try that again. Making sure I'm just getting the bits. There we go. Okay. And again, you can see that that middle stitch stays on the top. Yarn over, knit 2 together. Yarn over, knit 3. 3. Yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Yarn over, double decrease. Yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2. And I'm slipping my last one. All right, let's purl back. Getting a pretty good sense of where this is going, but we'll still knit a few more rows. Make sure I'm still in camera here. Okay. So let me just set it down here on the table so you can see. We're going to keep going, but I think you can see there's definitely things going this way, and likewise distinct lines moving out this way, this one moving back in. It looks pretty good. So looking at this, if I were to pick it up after a little time away, would I know which right side row I'm on? So I would look for where things are decreasing. And here I can see that I don't have 3 stitches. I mean, there are 3 stitches, but these are previous yarn overs. They need a little bit more substance. I might look here and go, oh wait, there's 3 stitches that have, you know, some stockinette below them, but these are not decreasing, these are increasing outward. So this is not going to become a decrease, this is going to continue to be an increase. So that would mean that I'm on row 2. So let's do that. we'll do one more full set of row repeats, and then we'll bind this one off so that we can do the little arrowhead lace. And again, if you wanted a wider section of this path here, you could do that by adding a slip, slip, knit, yarn over, and the yarn over, knit 2 together on each side. So that's why you have to add 4 stitches, but 2 would be on this side, 2 would be on this side of that there. Okay. So there's my edge stitch, and we have knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, which is opposite of what we've been doing when we've had those 2 paired together. It's usually slip, slip, knit, yarn over, but that's why it's also taking me a hot minute to like really think about that. But I know I have that knit 1, which is there, and then we start in with the knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, which is the center part here, so it's all good. There was a yarn over on one side, so there should be a yarn over on the other, which is helpful for the clue that it's then slip, slip, knit, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 together. So see, because we had that slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, that's creating that basis of 3 stitches that are, next time we're on the right side row, going to be decreased. Yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1. Making sure I have the right number of yarn overs there. Okay, purl back. All right, let's go ahead and do that row with the double decrease, and we'll get ready to bind this one off on the next time we're on the right side row. So we had our edge stitch, knit 2, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Now we're ready to do our double decrease. Make sure I have my yarn over first here. Yarn over, and then we do the slip 2, knit 1, pass the 2 over, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 3, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, yarn over, oops, slip 2 together, knit 1, pass slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2, slip that one. Let's purl back and then we'll bind off. Our next swatch will be the variation of this one called the little arrowhead lace. Alrighty, bind this one off. I'm going to bind it off loosely again, at least try to. It has a little bit of a scallop, not as pronounced as the pearl barred scallop pattern, which even has the word scallop in it. But there's just a little slight waviness. We'll go with that. I think this is a lovely pattern. It's relatively easy to knit. For me, not quite as intuitive as the previous swatch, but it's all good. I would definitely revisit this again. I knit these last two together because the very last stitch is an edge stitch, so it doesn't really add width to the swatch because it's slipped. It kind of, makes it go this way. So if I bind it off separately, it tends to make my bind off flare out a little. So, all right, so here we go. It does have a slight, like I said, little waviness there. Let's try to stretch it out some. And you see it has a nice chevron undulation going on there with lots of lacy holes in between. So that's a lovely pattern. All right, so this is arrowhead lace. And now our next one is little arrowhead lace. This is done over a multiple of 6 plus 1. And likewise, yeah, I'm going to add an extra edge stitch to each end, just to have a little bit more substance on the ends here. And so I think I'm going to cast on 21. That way we'll have 3 repeats of the little arrowhead, and it should be a similar width to our previous swatch. Might not be exactly the same width, but might come close. So 18, 19, 21. The cast on that I do is a knitted cast on. So I'm just knitting the stitch, but then instead of sliding it off the needle, I pull up the loop and then bring my left needle in through the back of the loop. I don't actually usually count as I'm casting on, so it's surprising how many times I'm either dead on or within a stitch. All right, this is also a 4-row repeat, and just like its counterpart, the wrong side rows are purled. So we'll go ahead and do that. knit my edge stitch. Catching the yarn there, there we go. And then we're going to start on the actual stitch sequence. So we have knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1. All right. So before on our previous swatch, we did that yarn over, slip, slip, knit twice. Essentially, we're just doing it once. And then here we're just going to purl back. And I'm betting indeed that we're going to have some double decreasing going on. As a matter of fact, we just have yarn overs and double decreases. There are no extra slip, slip knits or knit 2 togethers like we had in the previous swatch. All right. So I'm going to do my edge stitch. And then we have knit 2, yarn over, slip 2 together, knitwise, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, get our lovely little mountain there, yarn over, knit 3, yarn over, slip 2 knitwise, knit 1, pass slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 3, yarn over, slip 2, knit 1, pass the slip stitches over, yarn over, knit 2. And then my edge stitch. All right, that is one whole set of 4-row repeats. I'm going to go ahead and start with my onto the next set, purl back. And I think you'll see very quickly in another row or two how this matches up with the previous swatch. I think I've seen this pattern used before in socks, as a matter of fact. So a little hard to see what's going on now, but once we get a few more repeats in here, it'll be very obvious. So we're back to our first right side row. So it's just yarn over, slip, slip, knit. So we're only doing that once. Before we did it twice. Knit 1. Now we have the top of the mountain that we can make sure we're aligned to. Knit 2 together. Yarn over. Knit 1. Yarn over. Slip, slip, knit. Knit 1, that's top of the mountain, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Kind of see the rhythm going here, I think. knit one, top of the mountain, knit two together, yarn over, knit one, and do my edge. Purl our way back. I think it's going to be much easier to see now on this right side row coming up how it aligns and how we know for sure which ones we're supposed to be working into that double decrease. So remember, there are no knit two togethers or slip slip knits because we don't have that extra set like we did in the previous swatch. We're starting to see a little bit of lean here coming toward. We should have three of those, so moving toward the center. So we know that these three are going to be the double decrease, and then these three are just going to be knit. And of course, to make up for the double decrease, we have to have the yarn overs on each side. So that's how we can read this particular stitch. So here's where I want to decrease. I need to make sure I have a yarn over on each side of that. Get those three. Yarn over, double decrease, because I can see there's my mountain from before. So I would say this pattern is probably a little easier than the previous one, just because it's in some ways easier to keep track of what's going on. But that's not to say that the other one isn't doable by any stretch. I think it just takes a little bit more brain power to keep track of where you are. So you can really start seeing that shape up. I'm going to go ahead and do one more set of row repeats and bind this one off. And then we'll see, well, I think we'll have time for one more pattern after that. So we're back to our first right side row of our repeat here, and that's where we're putting in the yarn overs on either side of this single column here. So my yarn over, knit one, I've yarn over, now I'm going to slip slip knit one, which is, you can see my little mountains there, so I know that's good. Knit two together, because I don't want another hole on next to that. I want to kind of create the base of the mountain. But now I have that single strand, I need to do a yarn over on each side of that. Slip, slip, knit. Knit one, top of the mountain. Knit two together. Yarn over. Knit one. That's why I think this pattern is pretty intuitive in that regard. ready to top off our mountain. As you can see here in the areas, let's look at the middle one, where our diagonals are pointing toward this top here, and we have a mountain and it needs to be topped. So we do our edge stitch, knit 2, trying to top off a mountain. So we and don't forget to yarn over it. Then we just knit 3, kind of get to the next mountain. Yarn over, slip 2 together knitwise. They have to be together so that when you pass them over, we knit the next stitch, and then we pass these slipped ones over. That it's the center stitch that stays on top. So we have 3 stitches, and we want them to line up this way so that we have a strong center going down our work. And we have our yarn over on the other side. We knit 3 to get to the next mountaintop. Yarn over, slip 2 together, knit 1, pass the 2 slip stitches over, yarn over, and we end this with knit 2. I'm slipping my last one. All right, I'm going to purl back and then bind this one off, and we will have completed this swatch as well. All right, bind this one off. And we'll get started on the English mesh lace. It's pretty and a popular pattern, reminiscent of the miniature fern lace. Now, pretty and popular, it is pretty. I'm not disputing that. The popular, I'm not so sure it's still popular. This book was written back in, I believe, the 60s. So, you know, might be coming back around though. Popular in one era is not necessarily popular in another, but it is pretty. Drifted off screen again. So sorry. All right, these last 2 I do together. All right, and there we have a little arrowhead. So you can see that they are indeed like little arrowheads pointing upwards. And yeah, there's that kind of pointing downwards as well. All right, English mesh lace is also a multiple of 6 plus 1. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and cast on 21. So I'm going to add some edge stitches to this grouping. And this is an 8-row repeat. but 4 of those rows, which are wrong side rows, are purled. So this does have 4 other rows that we have to pay attention to because they are all slightly different, perhaps a lot different. We'll see. This is where we're starting to get into, like, not that what we've been doing hasn't been real lace, but now we're getting into slightly more complex, but not, I don't think we're really at the majorly complex level. Let's see where I am. 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. All right, and it starts off on the wrong side, so we're going to go ahead and purl. I do appreciate that it's not trying to get me to work lace stitches right into a cast on row. It can be a little bit difficult trying to like knit 2 together or even slip slip knit, because these stitches, these cast on stitches, are attached to the needle slightly differently than worked stitches. So now that we have done a row of purl, there's a little more substance to the each stitch. It's got some backup below it, and it makes it a little easier to work the things that we have to do. All right, so I'm going to work my edge stitch, and then we have knit 1, yarn over, slip slip knit, knit 1, knit 2 together. It's sounding very arrowheady right now. Yarn over, knit 1. As a matter of fact, it's dead on the same thing. Yarn over, slip slip knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip slip knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1. All right, so you can do little arrowhead, you can do this row. That's all it is. It's the first right side row of little arrowhead. All right, now we're going to go ahead and purl back. Let's take a quick look. Oh, and indeed, it looks like, oh, nope, slightly different. Oh, yes, slightly different, but similar to the other right side row of little arrowhead. And we'll talk about how it's different in just a moment. So we're purling back. All right, and now we're ready to start that next row. So if you remember in little arrowhead, we did a double decrease. So there is a double decrease here. So I've done my edge stitch. This time though, I'm just knitting 1. So before I was knitting 2. This is knitting 1, yarn over, knit 1, so that part's a little different. Slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, so that's a different kind of double decrease. And if you can see, it is taking the 3 stitches, and this one is on top. My fingers do not move that way. Maybe this way. There we go. Anyway, the far right stitch is the one that is on the top. It just gives a different look. Knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over, knit one, yarn over, knit one. Okay, phew. All right, so it really was completely different. Disregard what I said earlier. But we are getting these little clumps. They still look like mountains, but they're a different kind of mountain. Like not coming to a point, but kind of curving more a little bit like a wave. So you've got this line of stitches that's going to be dominant. So pardon my nails are not. Need to reapply the polish. All right, let's purl back because we have yet a third type of lace row to put on. Okay, got a little bit of a scallopy thing going on here. It's kind of cute. All right, do my edge stitch. And we have knit one, knit two together, yarn over, knit one, which does appear to be, here was our double decrease before. There was not a yarn over on each side, so there's not holes opening up here. We're now going to put those holes in. Anyway, we have a knit one here and a yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit one, which is in a line with this single stitch here, so that's good. And then we repeat that. So knit two together, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit one, not yarn over, knit two together, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit one. Let's purl back. I think we're going to need to see the whole sequence of things before we can see what is really going on here with this stitch. Dark Moon Clover, if you are still here, thank you so much for the follow. I am so sorry that I missed it. I now see that you followed me like an hour ago. I don't know why, but my alerts do not pop up on my OBS screen, and my OBS screen covers up that section of my stream, whatever it's called, stream manager. So I'm still new to the streaming part, not new to knitting, but new to the streaming part. So still trying to work some of those kinks out, trying to figure out how everything works. Sometimes the alerts show up, but often they do not. And they never seem to make a noise, even though I have them set to make a noise. But I don't know what to say. All right. Row 8. I did my edge stitch, and we are going to do 2 together. And then we have knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 together, slip stitch over. Knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one. So a lot of lace opening up here above the little thing going on here, the little mountain. Slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over. Okay, and that's good. We have a new mount, so these mountains are going to be offset. So we have this little mountain here, and then this little mountain's coming over this way. To our last 5 stitches, we have knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, and we're going to slip slip knit. So the reason that this row has a knit two together and a slip slip knit at the knit two together at the beginning, slip slip knit at the end, is because this is, you know, if this pattern, if I had more stitches on, then this knit two together would be part of this double decrease, but there's no more stitches here. So we had to at least have a decrease to counter one of the yarn overs. So that's why, and the same thing goes for the other end. So you can kind of think of those as like half mountains over there. All right, so now that we've done one full 8-row repeat, we can see where it's starting to stack up. That's really quite lovely. Look at that. So I'm going to continue on with this so that we get a much better sense of how this all works together. So now we're going to be making mountains here, here, and here, 3 mountains. But first we have to kind of make the base of the mountains, and we're going to do that here on the next time we're on the right side row. But right now we're going to purl our way back. I do love a pattern where the wrong sides are all just purled. Gives your mind a chance to go, no thinking involved. Alright, and now we're back to our right side row, ready to start our sequence. Again, technically that purl row was the first row in the sequence. But, alright, edge stitch, knit one, yarn over, slip slip knit, knit one, knit two together, yarn over, knit one, and now we kind of repeat. So let's really take a look at what's happening here. So we have a yarn over, slip slip knit. This is going to be the beginning of the basis of our little mountain. So we have slip slip knit, we have knit one, that's the middle of our mountain, and we have to knit two together because that creates the 3 stitches there. Yarn over, knit one, and I know I'm aligned because I'm following that top of the mountain. Yarn over, slip slip knit, knit one, that's the middle base of the mountain, knit two together, yarn over, and then we'll end with knit one. All right, so that's the row that kind of makes the base of the mountain. And then we're going to purl back. And on this next right side row, we're going to top off the mountain. now we can see we have our little bases here of our mountains, and that's going to help clue us in to what we need to do. So there's my edge stitch and knit one. Then we're going to have a yarn over and a slip slip knit, slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over, oops, knit one. Oh, did I do that right? I did not. Back up, people, back up. Okay. Now I have to very delicately, that's the wrong direction, but I'll fix it in a minute. I just don't want it to disappear, because didn't I do a slip slip knit there, and that was wrong. Okay. All right, now I have stitches all over the place that are in the wrong spot. They're not in the wrong spot, they're in the wrong orientation. So let me fix those first. Just like that. That one's correct, that one's correct, this one's not correct. And I don't normally always do that. I can sometimes reorient them on the fly, but given that we're going to have that double decrease, it would be harder to do that. All right, we've got everybody situated again. Knit my first stitch, knit one, yarn over, knit one. Okay, here we go. There's our three. We're going to do slip one, knit two together, the tail out of the way, pass the slip stitch over, knit one. It's a different kind of mountain. It's not such a distinct, because there's not a yarn over on each side of it. But now we have our yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one. These are the three that are going to be combined together. Knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, slip one, knit two together, knit one, yarn over, knit one. Okay, we have topped that mountain. And again, it's a slightly different mountain. Well, it's slightly different in two different ways. It has a different kind of double decrease, so that the middle stitch is not the predominant stitch, but instead the far right stitch is. Alrighty. So there we have these little mountains. So let's take a look at what happens above a mountain. We start to have this opening up, and that's what's going to happen here. And above the opening ups, a mountain gets formed. So here are our kind of open, almost looking like a butterfly, and that is where the base of the mountain is going to occur. So for this one, we're going to knit one, my edge stitch, then I'm going to knit one, and we have knit two together, yarn over, knit one, that is the center, because now above the mountain we're starting to make kind of the butterfly thing, so yarn over, and we have our slip slip knit, knit one, which is right above the top of the butterfly, knit two together, and those three things, the slip slip knit, the knit one, and the knit two together, are forming the new base of the mountain. Then we are to our mountain here, we have to start making a butterfly, so it's yarn over, knit one, yarn over, slip slip knit, knit one, knit two together, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit one. All right, let's turn around, purl our way back. It's going to be perfect timing. So we'll top off our mountain and get ready to bind off. This is a lovely pattern. I could see why it was popular. And while it might still be, let's take a really good look at it. And if it's not currently popular, it should be, because it's pretty fun to knit. All right. So if I just stretch it out like this, it's just kind of like a bunch of holes. But if we really take a look at it, see, so much better. We have our little mountains, we have our little butterfly things here. Sometimes the little wing of the butterfly is a little harder to see. You know, it's called lace, English mesh lace, but I like to think of it as the mountain and the butterfly. So let's finish off our butterflies and top the mountains. And we're going to start with our edge stitch. And taking a look at this, here are the 3 stitches that have to become one. That's going to be the top of the mountain. Then our butterflies, we want a yarn over on each side of them. So that's how it fits here. Now this edge stitch here is really the center or part of the stitches that would be topping off the mountain. Anyway, we're going to knit 2 together because it's at the beginning. And then we have a yarn, then we have a knit 1. Makes much more sense. Then we have a yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, because remember we have knit 1s on each side of our mountain top here. And we're going to slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. We're going to slip, slip, knit. Is that correct? What am I missing here? Oh, knit 1. Slip, slip, knit. There we go. Because that would be on the side of the mountain. All right. Purling our way back. And now we're going to go ahead and bind off. And then we'll have a really good look at this English lace mesh. And it is. It's a lovely, lovely pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and bind off fairly loosely. we'll take a look not only at this pattern, but also our other swatches that we have worked up today. Okay. Whew. Ugh. All right, here we go. English lace mesh. That is a lovely little pattern. It's not too open and lacy. There is some, substance to it. I think that would make a beautiful shawl. Worked into a shawl somehow. So yeah, and I think it was really great fun to think of it about as little mountains. But you can definitely see how this little mountain, well, any of the little mountains here, the line goes over and then goes up. So here and up. And the one that was going up just kind of disappears into the fold here, as opposed to the little arrowhead and the other arrowhead, where when we have the little decreases, it's a different type of double decrease, and it maintained that center stitch, kind of acting like a spine. Now, could one do this stitch pattern with that type of decrease? Yes. It will change the look of it slightly, and you'll get a much more dominant vertical line. So this kind of helps to break up that, but it would be interesting to see, how that worked. Likewise, could you do this one with the other type of decrease? Yes, and it would also change the look, the overall look. So here we have these strong verticals, and that's pretty important to the look of the arrowhead. So this was little arrowhead, and then its mother arrowhead, which just is more width to this section and could easily be modified to be even wider per kind of mountain section there. So this was 2 repeats. This is 1 full repeat here, 1 full repeat there. And this one was 3. And then we started off the day with the pearl barred scallop pattern, which has a strong chevron scallop for its edge, and that would be mirrored here at the top, or not mirrored rather, but continued. So where it was inward here, it would be the point at the opposite end. Take a little blocking to get that all situated. But basically you have these columns of lace panels. This one has a double decrease, and then these panels of stockinette, and then the whole thing is broken up every, like 10 rows or so by this band of reverse stockinette, which is how it got the name pearl barred. Although it is spelled P-A-R-L, like string of pearls, because that's what it resembles, a little string of pearls across the thing. So it gives it, a nice little texture to kind of break things up. And helps to continue accentuating that there is this chevron throughout. So those are the swatches of today. I thank you so much for joining me. I will be back next Monday to continue knitting in the lace chapter of A Treasury of Knitting Patterns, where we are getting into feather patterns and some diagonal striping. Those don't really look all that exciting, to be perfectly honest. The feather does. The feather and the expanded feather, that they might be kind of interesting. But I'm not going to lie, the diagonal stripe, I mean, it's okay. It does involve a lot of stitches, but I don't think we'll have to go on a whole lot of rows for that. It says there's 20, but yeah, we probably won't have to do that now. All right, and then there is a star rib mesh, and we should be able to get to quite a number of these. Yeah, the feather patterns aren't all that March, so we should go. That's pretty good. So 4 stitch patterns in today's session is pretty good. This is about, I usually get about 4 done when there's substantial work to be done. Previous streams, we've done like 6 to 8, maybe 7. But those were tiny, tiny swatches. So these were a little bit bigger today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again next week. And I will be back with much more lace knitting. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.